Whilst Power BI users love the developer features of Fabric for enterprise reporting, for the data engineers used to Azure, the criticism has always been that it doesn't go far enough. It needs dynamic CI/CD, SPN support and a command line interface. So the announcements of these features should help to alleviate some of those concerns and ensure that data engineers are comfortable in using Fabric as their primary data platform. Let's have a look at the keynote announcement to get an overview of these features, and then we can look at why it's important.
Variable that can change from one environment to another environment to another environment. So you can have, one set of settings for dev, another set of settings for test, another set for production, and we'll see more of that. The other thing we told us as a professionals, we don't want to have the same code showing again and again and again. We want to be able to have code reusability. So we are incredibly excited to introduce the user data functions. And the user data functions allow you to create functions in code, in the favorite language, could be C#, could be Python, and then call them from all over Fabric. And outside of Fabric, it's a SaaS version of Azure Functions. It's pretty incredible. We'll see more of that. And lastly, maybe my favorite one of this bunch is the command line interface. So you told us, it's one of those weird demos that is like green characters or black screen. It's really, really hard to see what's going on there. But we wanted to make sure that those of you who are professionals that say, it's a GUI and mouse and click and drag, it's just for wussies, and real developers really want to just use the keyboard, that we give you a command line. And what's cool about it is when we kind of looked at the command lines available out there, and we realized that the closest one that we can imagine is command line of an operating system. Where operating system, you use the command line of Windows, you use the command line of Linux, you know how to work with them. So look, we can actually look at Fabric through the lens of an operating system. So everything you do is commands that you already know. So if you want to look at the list of workspaces, if you come from Windows, you can do dir. If you come from Linux, you can do ls. And then you're going to create a new workspace. It's just to make dir. And you make dir my workspace, you have a new workspace. And you can cd into the workspace and do another dir or ls. And then create a lakehouse by make dir lakehouse.lakehouse. So you know the command line interface before even opening the documentation, because you use Linux, you use Windows, you know it already. It's super cool. You can schedule jobs, you can monitor, you can put this command line as scripts, you can put them as part of GitHub Actions. It's incredible. So really, really excited about the command line interface.
So user data functions we'll look at next, but let's consider Workspace Variables and CLI. For Workspace Variables, this is something that is crucial for managing deployments. With traditional ETL tools like SSIS, it was possible to assign variables to things like connection strings that would have a different value in the dev, UAT and prod environment, and then each time those artifacts were deployed, depending on the environment, the correct connections were used. In Fabric, it's always been possible to create parameters in a data pipeline and a data flow, and to an extent these values could be updated as part of a deployment pipeline workflow. But then you need to have different parameters for different item types, and it becomes difficult to keep these consistent. What you have needed in Fabric for deployments is to set variables at a workspace level, and then to automatically configure items to refer to those workspace variables. If an item is in a dev workspace, it takes this value, or if it's in a prod workspace, this other value. So that's exactly what this feature allows for. Next, for Fabric command line interface. Put simply, this brings a way of managing the Fabric environment without having to use the UI or build your own apps to call APIs. You can interact with Fabric as if it were an operating system, with objects organized into folders that you can navigate to like you can in a command prompt against folders in your machine, using commands like cd to navigate to a folder path. You can use it interactively, like the command prompt in Windows, or run it as a service principal in an automated fashion, where scripts can be run in your workflow, for example, to automatically create items such as workspaces and lakehouses. I've had a view on Fabric for some time that a production environment should be fully touchless. Data products are defined using a template, and these templates are used to create and run the required items, including setting data permissions in an automated fashion. With more items supporting service principal, where it could be a system user rather than an actual user, and with more capabilities being supported with APIs, this has been getting closer to an achievable reality. With Fabric CLI, this is yet another step in the right direction.